Hello everyone, how's it going? Did you know that you can call any function in JavaScript with backticks? Yep, that's true. Any function, even the built-in ones like console.log. For example, in this piece of code, we can run console.log with backticks instead of brackets, and we get a slightly different output. If we run it here, we see that we get an array with one value of hello world. This is what's called tagged templates. So what exactly are tagged templates and how does it work? You're probably familiar with template literals, the feature that JavaScript introduced in ES6, allowing us to embed expressions within backticks enclosed strings. For example, if I define a variable called customer, which has the value of Alice, and then I say console.log hello customer, with customer being emplaced within the template literal, and then if we run this, as expected, we get hello Alice. So JavaScript takes the value of the customer and adds it in the string. Tagged templates work in a similar way, but take this a step further. In essence, a tagged template is a way to call a function, providing it with a string template and any interpolated expressions. Let's see an example for this. Let's define a function called tag that will take two arguments, strings, and all the remaining arguments, and we'll collect them using the spread operator. And then for simplicity, we'll console.log these strings, and we'll do the same thing for values. Then we'll come down here and we'll define a variable called customer, which will equal Alice, and then we'll define a shop, which is Wonderland. Then we'll call our function with backticks or tag template, and we'll say tag hello customer, welcome to shop. So we have the function tag, takes the strings, the values, and console logs them. Then we have two variables, customer and shop, with values Alice and Wonderland. Then we call the function with tag templates with hello customer, welcome to shop. Now let's run this and see what we get. So we get two arrays, one for strings and one for values. The strings array is a string of literals, and it's the string literals of the template that was passed to the tag function. So in this case, we have hello, so that's the first part here. Then we have exclamation mark, welcome to, so that's the second part. Then we have one exclamation mark at the end, and that's the last part. The second argument, values, is also an array, but it contains the interpolated expressions. Here it's customer and shop, which translate to their values, which is Alice and Wonderland. So in essence, this is how tagged templates work in JavaScript. But how can we use this in real life? Let's take a real-world example. In this example, I've copied some code that has a definition of an application. In this case, it's a sample app. The description is a sample app is designed to demonstrate how JavaScript tag templates work, but you see here that the description spans over 3 lines, not only 1 line. And then we have a dependencies array. Then we have a settings, which is an object. Then we define the definition here, definition variable, which we want to be YAML configuration. So we see here we have the app, we have the name, app name, description, dependencies, settings, and so on. Then we console.log the definition at the end. The problem with this is that if we run this code, you see 3 problems happen here. For the description, you see that the multi-line string just goes over to the next line without respecting the indentation of the YAML. For the dependencies array, it's just stringified, so it's just one string with a comma in between, and it's not an array in the YAML configuration. And for the object, it's just object, since this is how JavaScript stringifies objects. So let's build a YAML function that can help us put these values in their correct representation in YAML. So I'll start with calling the YAML function, then I will go here to the top and I will call function YAML. We'll take the strings and we'll take the values as usual. The first step is that we want to generate the same output as the template literals of JavaScript. So let's define a result array, and then we will loop over the strings. In each loop, we'll push the current string to the result. Then the next step, since values length might be less than strings, we need to check for this. So if I is greater than or equals to values.length, then we continue. Otherwise, we push the values I to the result array. Then we return the result array joined by an empty string. So this gives us the same output as the template literals. We call it here down here, and then if we run this again, we get the same output as template literals before. So now let's start by doing some special handling for the description, for the dependencies, and for the settings as well. Let's start by defining a variable called current, and we'll save the values I to it. Then we'll start with a string. So if type of current equals string, then instead of pushing the current value, we'll push a format string of the current value, and then we will format this in a specific way. Else, we do the same thing. Then we need to define this format string function that will take the value and return the formatted string. So the first thing that we need to do for this multi-line string is that we need to add a pipe here, or a vertical line. So let's start with this. Then we need to add a new line, since all of these need to go to the next line. Then we need to indent all of these, all of the strings, by an additional indentation, or by the correct indentation, which should be 4 spaces here. Since the description has 2, so we should append 2 more. So in order to do this, let's define a function called getIndentation that takes string and will return the indentation for us. So for this function, we need only the last line of the string, since that string can also be a multi-line string. So we say last line equals string dot split by a new line, and then we pop. So we take the last item. If there is no last line, then we just return 0, since this is a new line, or there is no indentation. Otherwise, we return 2, since it's the new indentation. We can have this in a const or an external variable. Plus, we need to find the number of spaces in the beginning of this line, so we can use some regex in this case. So we can say last line dot match, and then I will say from the beginning of the line, I will take a space as many times as possible, and then we'll also use null check operator here to make sure that if we get null, we don't fail, and we'll get the first occurrence. Since it's going to be this one, we get its length. We need also this null operator. Otherwise, we take 0 if we don't find any spaces in the beginning. So that's our getIndentation function. We go back to the format string. So we agreed that now we added the pipe, we added the new line. So we need to split these 3 lines to 3 different strings and append the indentation for each one of them. So in order to do this, we can say value dot split by new line, map, and we'll take each line and we'll append to it the indentation first. And we need to have this indentation as a parameter, and we'll have the line. So now we have the indentation in the beginning, then the line, then we join the lines again with a new line. Let's format all of this, and let's go down here and get the indentation first. Equals get indentation of the strings I, and pass it to the current string. Now let's run this function and see what we get. Well, we see 4 here, so that is technically correct, but we actually need to repeat this. So let's go here in the format string, and instead of the indentation itself, we can say const indent equals space repeat how many times, the indentation times, then we use this variable. We probably need better naming here. So let's run this again, and we see we get correct values here. So sample app is designed to demonstrate how JavaScript tagged templates work, and this is correct indentation. We can also see that the name got pushed to the new line. We actually don't need it here, so we can add a simple check here. If value includes or doesn't include a new line, then let's just return value. We don't need to change anything. Let's run again. We'll see sample, the name is correct, and the description is correct. As you can imagine, for the array and the object, we'll have a similar approach. So let's do this. So let's say format array. We'll take the value and the indentation. We'll calculate the indent the same way. We'll have a new line. And then for each item of the array, we don't need to split here since this is going to be an array. And we're going to map each item to the indent. Then we have a dash, then the item, then we join by a new line. And let's see, use this function here. Else if array is array current, then we push format array instead of format string. Let's run this, and we see that for the dependencies now we have auth and user management, and those are the 2 items in the array, and this is correct representation for the YAML object. Then the last one is the format object, so let's do this as well. Here we take the object, we take the indentation. Now for the object, we need to take the keys and values. So in the YAML representation, it's going to be region, EU, and then enable metrics true. So each key and value should be in one line, and they should be separated by a colon. So let's go to our function. We'll take the object, we'll take object.entries. We take the object.entries, which is going to split the object into an array of items, and each item contains the key and value. Then we're going to map each item, and in this case we're going to the same way we're going to return the indent first. Then we need the key, so that's item 0, and then need a colon, and then item 1, and that's the value. Then we join with a new line again. And the same way, else if type of current equals object, then we push format object. We can also check here that current is not null or anything, since type of null is also an object. And if we run this, we see that we get the correct representation for settings, which is region EU and enabled true. So as you can see in this example, we managed through tagged templates to create a YAML function that automatically transforms the values or the variables that are provided for it to the correct format that are supported by YAML. And this is the true power of YAML functions, is that it provides the readability in your code, so you can easily read through the code without needing any placeholders. And at the same time, it provides all the control that you want, so you can provide any transformation or any control over these variables. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more content. Have a great day.